Preparations for building the temple. When Hiram, king of Tyre, heard that Solomon had been anointed king to succeed his father David, he sent his envoys to Solomon. Because he had always been on friendly terms with David, Solomon sent back this message to Hiram. You know that because of war waged against my father David from all sides, he could not build a temple for the name of the Lord his God until the Lord put his enemies under his feet. But now the Lord my God has given me rest on every side, and there is no adversary or disaster. I intend, therefore, to build a temple for the name of the my Lord my God, as the Lord told my father David when he said, "Your son, whom I will put on the throne in your place, will build the temple for my name." So give orders. The cedars of Lebanon be cut for me. My men will work with yours, and I will pay you for your men whatever wages you set. You know what that we have no one so skilled in felling timber as the Sidonians. When Hiram heard Solomon's message, he was greatly pleased and said, "Praise be to be the Lord today, for he has given David a wise son to rule over these great nations." So Hiram sent word to Solomon, "I have received the message you sent me and will do all you want in providing the cedar and juniper logs. My men will haul them down from Lebanon to the Mediterranean Sea, and I will put them as raft by sea to the place you specify. There I will separate them, and you can take them away, and you are to grant my wish by providing food for my loyal household." In this way, Hiram kept Solomon supplied with all the cedar and juniper logs he wanted. And Solomon gave Hiram 20,000 coals of wheat as food for his household, in addition to 20,000 baths or pressed olive oil. Solomon continued to do this for Hiram year after year. The Lord gave Solomon wisdom just as he had promised to him. There were peaceful relations between Hiram and Solomon, and the two of them made a treaty. King Solomon conscripted robbers from all Israel, 20,000 men. He sent them off to Lebanon in ships of 10,000 a month, so that they spent 1 month in Lebanon and 2 months at home. Adoniram was in charge of the first rebel. Solomon had 70,000 carriers and 80,000 stonecutters in the hills, as well as 3,300 foremen who survived the project and directed the workers. At the king's command, they removed from the quarry large blocks of high-grade stone to provide the foundation of the dressed stone for the temple. The craftsmen of Solomon and Hiram and workers from Byblos cut and prepared the timber and stone for the building of the temple. Solomon built the temple in the 480th years after the Israelites came out of Egypt. In the first years of Solomon's reign over Israel, in the month of Ziv, the second month, he began to build the temple of the Lord. The temple that King Solomon built for the Lord was 60 cubits long, 20 wide, and 30 high. The portico and the front of the main hall of the temple extended the waist of the temple, that is 20 cubits, and projected 10 cubits from the front of the temple. He made narrow windows high up in the temple walls against the wall of the main hall and inner sanctuary. He built a structure around the building, in which there were side rooms. The lowest floor was 5 cubits wide, the middle floor 6 cubits, and the third floor 7. He made offset ridges around the outside of the temple so that nothing would be inserted into the temple walls. In building the temple, only blocks dressed at the quarry were used, and no hammer, chisel, or any other iron tool was heard at the temple site while it was being built. The entrance to the lowest floor was on the south side of the temple. A stairway led up to the middle level and from there to the third. So he built the temple and completed it, roofing it with beams and cedar planks, and he built the side rooms all along the temple. The height of each was 5 cubits, and they were attached to the temple by beams of cedar. The word of the Lord came to Solomon. As for this temple you are building, if you follow my decrees, observe my laws, and keep all my commands and obey them, I will fulfill through you the promise I gave to David your father, and I will live among the Israelites and will not abandon my people Israel. So Solomon built the temple and completed it. He lined its interior wall with cedar boards, paneling with them from the floor of the temple to the ceiling, and covered the floor of the temple with planks of juniper. He partitions of 20 cubits and the rear of the temple with cedar board from floor to ceiling to form within the temple in inner sanctuary, the most holy place. The main hall in front of this room was 40 cubits long. The inside of the temple was cedar, carved with gold and open flower. Everything was cedar, no stone was to be seen. He prepared the inner sanctuary within the temple to set the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord there. The inner sanctuary was 20 cubits long, 20 wide, and 20 high. He overlaid the inside with pure gold, and he also overlaid the altar of cedar. Solomon covered the inside of the temple with pure gold, and he extended gold chains across the front of the inner sanctuary, which was overlaid with gold. So he raised the whole interior with gold. He also overlaid with gold the altar that belonged to the inner sanctuary. For inner sanctuary, he made a pair of cherubim out of olive wood, which 10 cubits high. One wing of the first cherubim was 5 cubits long, and the other wing 5 cubits, 10 cubits from wing tip to wing tip. The second cherubim also measured 10 cubits, for the two cherubim were identical in size, the shape. The height of each cherub was 10 cubits. He placed the cherubim inside the innermost room of the temple, with their wings spread out. The wings of one cherubim touched in one oar, while the wing of the other touched the room. He overlaid the cherubim with gold. On the walls all around the temple, in both the inner and outer rooms, he carved cherubim, palm tree, and open flower. He also carved the floor of both the inner and outer room of the temple with gold. For the entrance to the inner sanctuary, he made doors out of olive wood that 150 of the width of sanctuary, and on the two olive wood doors he carved cherubim, palm trees, and open flowers, and overlaid the cherubim and palm trees with hammered gold. In the same way, for the entrance to the main hall, he made door frames out of olive wood that were on posts of the wide of the hall. He also made two doors out of juniper wood, each having two leaves that turned in sockets. He carved cherubim, palm trees, and open flowers on them, and overlaid them with gold hammered evenly over the carvings. And he built the inner courtyard of the 3 courses of dresses sewn, and and 1 course of trimmed cedar beams. The foundation of the temple of the Lord was laid in the first years in the month of Ziv. In the 11th year, in the month of the bull, the 18 months, the temple was finished in all its detail according to its specifications. He had spent 7 years building it. Solomon built his palace. It took Solomon 30 years, however, to complete the construction of his palace. He built the palace of the forest of Lebanon, 100 cubits long, 50 wide, and 50 high, with 4 rows of cedar columns supporting trimmed cedar beams. It was roofed with cedar above the beam that rested on the columns. 45 beams, 52 rows. Its windows were placed high in set of 3, facing each other. All the doorways had rectangular frames. They were in the front part in set of the 3, facing each other. He made a colonnade 50 cubits long and 30 wide. In front of it was a portico, and in front of that were pillars and an overhanging roof. He built the throne hall, the hall of justice, where he was to judge, and he carved it with cedar from floor to ceiling, and the palace in which he was to live, set farther back, was similar in design. Solomon was made a palace like this for Pharaoh's daughter, whom he had married. Was all these structures, from the outside to the great courtyard and from foundation to eaves, were made of blocks of high-grade stone cut to size and smoothed on their inner and outer face. The foundations were laid with large stones of good quality, some measuring 10 cubits and some 8. Above were high-grade stones cut to size and cedar beams. The great courtyard was surrounded by a well of 3 courses of dressed stone and 1 course of trimmed cedar beams, as was the inner courtyard of the temple of the Lord with its portico. The temple's furnishings. The King Solomon sent to Tyre and bought Huram, whose mother was a widow from the tribe of Naphtali, and whose father was from Tyre, and a skilled craftsman in bronze. Huram was filled with wisdom, with understanding, and with knowledge to do all kinds of bronze work. He came to King Solomon and did all the work assigned to him. He cast 2 bronze pillars, each 18 cubits high and 12 cubits in circumference. He also made 2 capitals to cast bronze to set on the top of the pillars. Each capital was 5 cubits high. A network of interwoven chains adorned the capitals on the top of the pillars, 7 for each capital. He made pomegranate in 2 rows, encircling each network to decorate the capitals on top of pillars. He did the same for each capital. The capitals on top of the pillars in the portico were in the shape of lilies, 4 cubits high, on the capitals of both pillars. Above the bowl-shaped part next to the network were the 200 pomegranates in rows or ground. He erected the villas at the portico of the temple. The villa to the south he named Jachin, and the one to the north was the capitals on top were in the shape of the lilies, and so the work on the pillar was completed. Completed. He made a sea of cast metal, circular in shape, measuring 10 cubits from rim to rim and 5 cubits high. It took a line of 30 cubits to measure around it, below the rim, guard, and circled it 10 to cubits. The guard were cast into rows in on piece with the sea. The sea stood on 12 verse, 3 facing north, 3 facing west, 3 facing south, and 3 facing east. The sea rested on top of them, and their hind quarters were toward the center. It was a handbreadth in thickness, and its rim was like the rim of a cup, like a lily blossom. It had 2,000 beds. He also made 10 movable stand of bronze. Each was 4 cubits long, 4 wide, and 3 high. This is how the stands were made. They had side funnel attached to upright. On the funnel between the upright were lions, bulls, and cherubim, and on the upright as well. Above and below the lion and bulls were rays of hammered work. Each stand had 4 bronze wheels with bronze axles, with each had a basin resting on 4 supports cast with rays on each side. On the inside of the stand there was an opening that had a circular frame 1 cubit deep. This opening was round, and with the basework it measured a cubit and a half. Around it opening there was engraving. The panel of the stand were square, not round. The 4 here were under the panel, and the axial axle of the heel were attached to the stand. The diameter of each heel was the cubit and a half. The wheels were made like Charlotte's wheel. The axis, limbs, spokes, and hooves were all of cast metal. Each stand had 4 handles on each corner projecting from the stand. At the top of the stand there was a circular band half of a cubit deep. The supports and panel were attached to the top of the stand. He engraved cherubim, lions, and palm tree on the surface of the support on the panel in every available space with races all around. This is the way he made the tent stand. They were all cast in the same mold and were identical in size of the shape. He then made 10 bronze basin with holding 40 baths and measuring 4 cubits across the one basin to go on each of the 10 stands. He placed 5 of the stands on the south side on the temple and 5 on the north. He placed the sea on the south side at the southeast corner of the temple. He also made a pot and shovels and sprinkles bowls. So Hiram finished all the work and had undertaken for King Solomon in the temple on the road. The 2 pillars, the 2 bowl-shaped capitol on top of the pillars, the 2 sets of network decorating the 2 bowl-shaped capitol on top of the pillars, the 400 pomegranates for the 2 sets of network, 2 rows of pomegranates for each network decorating the bowl-shaped capitol on the top of the pillars. The 10 stands with their 10 basins, the sea and the 12 bowls under it, the 4 shovels and sprinkled bowls, all 3 objects the Hiram made for King Solomon for the temple of the Lord were of burnished bronze. The king had them cast in clay mold in the plain of the Jordan between Succoth and Jerusalem. Solomon left all these things unwaged because there were so many. The weight of the bronze was not determined. Solomon also made all the furnishings that were in Lord's temple, the gold altar, the gold table on which was on the bread of the presence, the lampstand of pure gold, 5 on the right and 5 on the left, in front of the inner sanctuary. The gold floor work and lamps and tongues. The pure gold basin with trimmers, sprinkle bowls, dishes, and censers, and the gold socket for the door of the innermost room, the most holy place, and also for the doors of the main hall of the temple. When all the work King Solomon had done for the temple of the Lord was finished, he brought in the thing his father David had dedicated, the silver and gold and the furnishings, and he placed them in the treasures of the Lord's temple. The ark brought to the temple. The King Solomon summoned into his presence at Jerusalem an elder of Israel, all the heads of the tribes and the chiefs of the Israelite families, to bring up the ark of the Lord, covenant from Zion, the city of David. All the Israelites came together to King Solomon at the time of the festival in month of Tanin, the 7th month. Then when all the elders of Israel had arrived. The priests took up the ark, and they brought up the ark of the Lord and the tent of meeting, and all the sacred furnishings in it. The priests and Levites carried them up. The King Solomon and the entire assembly of Israel that had gathered about him were before the ark, sacrificing so many sheep and cattle that they could not be recorded to or counted. The priests then brought the ark of the Lord's covenant to each place in the inner sanctuary of the temple, the most holy place, and put it beneath the wings of the cherubim. The cherubim spread their wings over the place of the ark and overshadows the ark and its carrying force. These poles were so long that their ends could be seen from the holy place in front on the inner sanctuary, but not from at the side the holy place. And they are still there today. There was nothing in the ark except two stone tablets, and Moses had placed in it at Horeb, where the Lord made a covenant with the Israelites every day after they came out of Egypt. When the priests withdrew from the holy place, the could filled the temple of the Lord, and the priests could not perform their service because of the cloud, for the glory of the Lord filled his temple. Then Solomon said, "The Lord has said that he would dwell in dark cloud. Indeed, built in the magnificent temple for you, a place for you to dwell forever." While the whole assembly of Israel was standing there, the king turned around and blessed them. Then he said, "Praise to be the Lord God of Israel, who with his own hand he has fulfilled what he promised with his own mouth to my father David. For he said, 'Since the day I brought my people Israel out of Egypt, I have not chosen a city in any tribe of Israel have a temple built, so that name might be there. But I have chosen David over my people Israel.' My father David had it in his heart to build a temple for the name of the Lord, the God of Israel. But the Lord said to my father David, 'You did well to have it in your heart to build a temple for my name. Nevertheless, you are not the one to build the temple, but your son, your own flesh and blood. He is the one who will build the temple for my name. The Lord has kept the promise he made. I have succeeded David my father, and now I sit on the throne of Israel, just as the Lord promised, and I have built the temple for the name of the Lord, the God of Israel. I have provided a place there for the ark, in which is the covenant of the Lord that he made with our ancestors when he brought them out of Egypt. Solomon's prayer of dedication. The Solomon stood before the altar of the Lord in front of the whole assembly of Israel, spread out his hands toward heaven, and said, Lord, my Lord, Lord, the God of Israel, there is no God like you in heaven above or on earth below. You who keep your covenant of love with your servant who continued wholeheartedly in your way. You have kept your promise to your servant David my father. With your mouth you have promised, and with your hands you have fulfilled it as it is today. Now, Lord, the God of Israel, keep for your servant David, my father, the promise you made to him when you said, You shall never fail to have a successor to sit before me on the throne of Israel. If only your descendants are careful in all they do to work before me faithfully as you have done. As now, God of Israel, let your words that you promised your servant David, my father, comes true. But will God really dwell on earth? The heavens, even the highest heaven, cannot contain you. How much less this temple I have built? Yet give attention to your servant's prayer and his plea for mercy. Lord my God, hear the cry and the prayer that your servant praying in your presence this day. May your eyes be open toward this temple night and day, this place of which you said, My name shall be there, so that you will hear the prayer your servant prays toward this place. Hear the supplications of your servant and of your people Israel when they pray toward this place. Hear from heaven, your dwelling place, and when you hear, forgive. When everyone wrong their neighbor and each required to take on oath, and they come and swear of us before your altar in this temple, hear from heaven and act, judge between your servants, condemning the guilty by bringing down on their heads what they have done, the vindicating the innocent by treating them in accordance with their innocence. When your people Israel been defeated and an enemy because they have sinned against you, and when they turn back to you and give praise to your names, praying and making supplication to you in this temple, then hear from heaven and forgive the sin of your people Israel, and bring them back to the land you gave to their ancestors. When the heavens are shut up, and there is no rain because your people have sinned against you, and when they pray toward this place and give praise to your name, and turn from their sin because you have afflicted them, then hear from heaven and forgive the sin of your servant, your people Israel. Teach them the right way to live, and send rain on the land to give your people for the inheritance. When famine or plague comes to the land, or blight or mildew, locust or grasshoppers, or when an enemy besieged them in any of their cities, whatever disaster or disease may come, and when prayer of plea is made by anyone among your people Israel, being aware of the afflictions of their one's hearts, and spreading out their hands toward this temple. Then hear for heaven from dwelling place, forgive and act, deal with everyone according to all they do. Since you know their heart, for you alone know every human heart, so that they will fear you all the time they lived in the land you gave our ancestors. As for the foreigner who does not belong to your people Israel, but has come from this distant land because of your name, for they will hear of your great name and your mighty hand and your outstretched arm. When they come and pray toward this temple, then hear from heaven, you dwelling place, do whatever the foreigner asked of you, so that all the people of the earth may know your names and fear you, as do your own people Israel, and may know that this house I have it bear your name. When your people go to war against their enemies, wherever you send them, and when they pray to the Lord toward the city you have chosen and the temple I have built for your name, then hear from heaven their prayer and their plea, and uphold their cause. When they sin against you, for there is no one who does not sin, and you become angry with them and give them over to their enemies who take them captive to their own land, far away or near. And if they have a charge of the heart in the land where they are held captive, and repent and plead with you in the land of their captors, and say, He, we have sinned and have done wrong. We have acted wickedly, and if they turn back to you with all their hearts, and soul in the land of their enemies who took the captive, and pray to you toward the land you gave their ancestors toward the city you have chosen and the temple I have built for your name. Then from heaven you dwelling place hear their prayers and their plea, and offer their cause, and forgive your people who have sinned against you. Forgive all the offense they have committed against you, and cause their captors to show them mercy. For they are your people and your inheritance from whom you brought out of Egypt, out of that iron smelting furnace. May your eyes be open to your servant's plea and the plea of your people Israel, and may you listen to them whenever they cry out to you. For all seized them out from all the nations of the world to be your own inheritance, just as you declared through your servant Moses when you, sovereign Lord, brought out our my ancestors out of Egypt. When Solomon had finished all these prayers and supplications to the Lord, he rose from before the altar of the Lord, where he had been kneeling with his hand spread out toward heaven. He stood and blessed the whole assembly of Israel in a loud voice, saying, Praise be to the Lord, who has given rest to his people Israel just as he promised. Not one word has spared of the great promises he gave through his servant Moses. They may the Lord our God be with us as he was with our ancestors. May he never leave us out now nor forsake us. May he turn our hearts to him, to work in obedience to him and keep to commands, decrees, and laws he gave our ancestors, and may this word of mine, which I have prayed before the Lord, I be near to the Lord our God day and night, that he may uphold the cause of his servant and the cause of his people Israel according to each their needs, so that all the people of the earth may know that the Lord is God, and that there is no other, and may your hearts be fully committed to the Lord our God, to live by his decrees and obeys his commands, as at this time. The dedication of the temple. Then the king and all Israel with him offered sacrifice before the Lord. Solomon offered a sacrifice, the fellowship offerings to the Lord, 22,000 cattle, and 120,000 sheep and goats. So the king and all the Israelites dedicated the temple of the Lord. On that time, the king consecrated the middle part of the courtyard in front of the temple of the Lord, and there he offered burnt offerings, grain offerings, and the fat of the fellowship offerings, because the bronze altar that stood before the Lord was too small to hold the burnt offerings, the grain offerings, and the fat of the fellowship offerings. So Solomon observed the festival at the time, and all Israel with him, the vast assembly, people from Lebo Hamas to the Wadi of Egypt, and celebrated it before the Lord our God for 7 days, and 7 days more, 14 days in all. Or the following day he sent the people away, blessed the king, and then went home joyful and glad in heart for all the good things the Lord had done for his servant David and his people Israel. The Lord appears to Solomon. When Solomon had finished building the temple of the Lord and the royal palace, and had achieved all the had desired to do, the Lord appeared to him a second time, as he had appeared to him at Gibeon. The Lord said to him, I have heard the prayer and plea you have made before me. I have consecrated the temple which you have built by putting my name there forever. My eyes and my heart will always be there. As for you, if you work before me faithful with integrity of heart and uprightness, as David your father did, and do all I command and observe my decrees and laws, I will establish your royal throne over Israel forever, as I promised David your faithful when I said, you shall never fail to have a successor on the throne of Israel. But if you, yours, or your descendants turn away from me and do not observe the commands and decrees I have given you, and go off to serve other gods and worship them, then I will cut off Israel from the land I have given them and will reject this temple I will consecrate it for my name. Israel will then be full of byword and of an object or ridicule among all people. This temple will become a heap of the rubble. All who pass by will be appalled and will scoff and say, "Why has the Lord done such a thing to this land and to this temple?" People will answer, "Because they have forsaken the Lord their God, who brought their ancestors out of Egypt, and have embraced other gods, worshipping and serving them. That is why the Lord brought all this disaster on them." Solomon's other activities. And at the end of 20 years, during the which Solomon built these two buildings, the temple of the Lord and royal palace, the King Solomon gave 20 towns in Galilee to Hiram, king of Tyre, because Hiram and supplied him with all the cedar and juniper and gold he wanted. But when Hiram went from Tyre to see the town that Solomon had given him, he was not pleased from them. "What kind of towns are these you have given me, my brothers?" he asked. And he called them the land of Kabul, a name they have to this day. Now Hiram had sent to King 120 talents of gold. Here is the account of the first robber King Solomon consecrated to build the Lord temple. His one place, the terrace, the wall of Jerusalem, and Hazor, Megiddo, and Gezer. Pharaoh, king of Egypt, had attacked and captured Gezer. He had set it on fire. He killed its Canaanite inhabitants and then gave it as a wedding gift to his daughter Solomon's wife. And Solomon rebuilt Gezer. He built up Lower Beth Horon, Balas, and Tadmor in the desert within his land, as well as all his store cities and the towns for his chariot and for his horses. Whatever he desired to build in Jerusalem, in Lebanon, and throughout all the territory he ruled, there were still people left from the Amorites, Hittites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites. These people were not Israelites. Solomon consecrated the descendants of all these people, remaining these the ones whom the Israelites could not examine exterminate to serve as slave labor. As it is to this day, but Solomon did not make slaves of any of the Israelites. They were his fighting men, his government officers, his officers, his captain, and the commanders of his chariot and charioteers. They were also the chief officials in charge of Solomon's project. 450 officials supervising those who did the work. After Pharaoh's daughter had come up from the city to David to the palace Solomon had built for her, he constructed the terrace. 3 times a year Solomon sacrificed burnt offering and fellowship offering on the altar he had built for the Lord, burning incense before the Lord along with them, and so fulfilled the temple obligations. King Solomon also built ships at Ezion-Geber, which is near Elis in Edom, on the shore of the Red Sea, and Hiram sent it men, sailors who knew the sea, to serve in the fleet with Solomon's men. They sailed to Ophir and brought back 220 talents of gold, which they delivered to King Solomon.